In April 1991, the United States Air Force decided the future of American air combat. Two stealth prototypes had flown in the high desert of Edwards Air Force Base. One would become the F-22 Raptor, the most dominant fighter ever built. The other was buried. This is the story of the Northrop YF-23, the stealth fighter that some say should have won. The Advanced Tactical Fighter program began in 1981. The Cold War was at its peak. The Soviet Union had just rolled out the Su-27 Flanker and was developing the MiG-29. Both threatened to match or beat the American F-15 Eagle in air-to-air combat. The Air Force needed a new air superiority fighter for the 1990s, one that could defeat anything the Soviets could field, dominate contested airspace, and survive in a world where surface-to-air missile coverage was becoming impossible to ignore. 7 companies submitted proposals. By 1986, the field had narrowed to 2 contractor teams. Team Lockheed, with Boeing and General Dynamics, proposed the YF-22. Team Northrop, with McDonnell Douglas, proposed the YF-23. Both would build 2 flying prototypes. Both would be evaluated head-to-head. Only one would win. Lockheed's YF-22 was conservative. Twin engines, conventional swept wings with horizontal stabilizers, and twin canted vertical tails. Thrust vectoring nozzles for extreme maneuverability. It was designed to fight close and win. Northrop's YF-23 took the opposite bet. It was designed to never get close enough to fight at all. Its diamond-shaped wing planform was a radical departure. The wing leading edges and trailing edges were aligned to a small number of angles. The same edges, the same returns, almost no surfaces for radar to find. Instead of 4 tail surfaces, it had 2, canted outward at 50 degrees. Half the radar return, half the infrared signature, half the visual presence. The engines exhausted through long stealth-shielded troughs, cooling the plume before it ever reached the open air. From the rear, the YF-23 was nearly invisible to heat-seeking missiles, and it was fast. Northrop claimed supercruise, sustained supersonic flight without afterburner, at speeds the YF-22 couldn't match. 2 prototypes were built. PAV-1, painted charcoal gray, was nicknamed Black Widow II after Northrop's World War II fighter. It first flew on August 27, 1990. PAV-2, painted lighter gray, was nicknamed Gray Ghost. It flew 2 months later. Between them, they flew 50 sorties over 4 months. They demonstrated supercruise at Mach 1.43 without afterburner. They cleared the flight envelope to Mach 1.8. They flew above 50,000 feet. The Air Force's data was clear. The YF-23 was the faster aircraft, with the longer range and the lower observable signature. By the metrics that mattered to the original program, first look, first shot, first kill, the YF-23 won. But the YF-22 had something the YF-23 didn't. Thrust vectoring. In a close-in dogfight, the Lockheed prototype could point its nose anywhere, even at speeds where the YF-23 had to commit to traditional aerodynamic turns. On April 23, 1991, Secretary of the Air Force Donald Rice announced the winner. It was the YF-22. The official reasons given were lower risk and lower cost. Lockheed's proposal had a lower bid. Northrop, fresh off massive cost overruns with the B-2 Spirit bomber program, was perceived as a higher production risk. There were also political factors. Lockheed had assembled the largest defense coalition in history. Northrop and McDonnell Douglas were both in financial trouble, and the Air Force wanted the F-22 to be a fighter pilot's fighter, agile, visible, aggressive. The YF-23 was a stealth missile truck. The 2 YF-23 prototypes were returned to Northrop. They never flew operationally. They were not destroyed. They were placed in storage. Northrop didn't give up. Through the 1990s and 2000s, the company quietly pitched derivatives of the YF-23 design. A regional bomber concept, designated FB-23, was proposed to fill the gap between the F-22 and the B-2. A naval variant was floated for the carrier-based interceptor role. Elements of the YF-23 lineage show up in later programs. The long-range strike bomber competition, which produced the B-21 Raider, drew on the same stealth principles Northrop had pioneered. And when the Air Force unveiled the F-47 NGAD concept in 2025, tailless, stealth-faceted, broadband low observable, aviation historians noted the resemblance to a design Northrop had been pitching since 1990. The original YF-23 prototype survived. PAV-1, the Black Widow, is now displayed at the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. PAV-2, the Gray Ghost, lives at the Western Museum of Flight in Hawthorne, California. The F-22 was built for a fight that never happened. The Cold War ended 6 months after the YF-23 first flew. The dogfighting agility that made the YF-22 win in 1991 has been used exactly 0 times in air-to-air combat against a peer adversary. What modern air combat does demand: long-range first-look engagements, low observability against integrated air defense, supercruise, were precisely the YF-23 strengths. Aviation analysts have argued for 30 years that the wrong plane won, that the Air Force chose the fighter pilot's plane over the actual war winner, that the YF-23 was the right design at the wrong moment. We'll never know. The YF-23 Black Widow II is one of the most fascinating what-ifs in modern aviation history. A stealth fighter that may have been ahead of its time and lost to politics, perception, and a competitor that knew how to put on a better show. Was it the wrong choice? Would the YF-23 have been a better F-22? Drop your verdict in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, every aircraft that almost was, subscribe. I'm at Clembatron. This is BingoFuel. See you in the next one.